So in the previous video we have just started the chapter number 7, that is things around us. So in that up to we have seen the things living thing respire. ठीक है, तो उसमें क्या था? Living things breathe. Breathing involves taking in and giving out the air. Means what is the respiration? Respiration means we just living thing. If I talk about the human, then human take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. As in plants it is opposite, they take in carbon dioxide and takes out the oxygen. So respiration is the process of releasing energy from breakdown of food in the cells with the help of oxygen. Breathing is a part of respiration. We breathe, we inhale air rich in oxygen and get out air rich with carbon dioxide. It is through the process of respiration that the oxygen from the inhaled air is used by the body for releasing energy for the breakdown of the food. Both plant and animals carry respiration process, and non-living things do not respirate. We know that non-living thing, if I take the markers, this, they respirate? No, they don't. And mobile phone, it respirate? No, it don't respirate. This board, is the board respirate? No, the board does not respirate. Then, moving further, the living thing produce their own kind. Means, what is this? They produce their own kind. If the human is reproduced, then it will just give a birth to human only. If dog just reproduce themselves, then what they produce only dog. Okay, and if I take example of cow, then it will give only cow only, not anything else. Cow will not give human and human will not give cow. So they will produce their own kind only, not another. See, reproduction is the process by which living things produce more of their own kind. Plants and animals reproduce in different ways. Most plants reproduce by forming seeds which then grow into new plant. However, some plants may also reproduce vegetatively. They give rise to new plants from their vegetative parts such as roots, stem and leaves. An example of vegetation reproduce is bryophyllum. Okay, so this is the reproduction in the plant. So how reproduction in the plant happens? Okay students, next is animals reproduce by either laying eggs or giving birth to young ones. Okay, so animals, how the plants reproduce from the seeds, and animals reproduce from the eggs or produce their young ones. Okay students, so living things do not reproduce. If living thing will be reproduced, then I will buy iPhone 11, then what happen? It will reproduce and another iPhone will come, so that will not possible. Okay, so non-living thing does not reproduce. Here plant reform by seeds. Here image is given and birds lay eggs and dogs give birth to their young ones. A picture is given over here students. You can see that. Living things need food. Means living things need food. If I tell you, I will not give you food for 1, 2 or 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, then you can live without food. You can survive 1 day. Only I think you can survive for 10 hours. Maximum 10 hours you can survive without food. And then after you will tell at your home that to your mom that mummy bhook lagi chhe, kain khawa dena. Yes or not students? Yes, you will tell to your mother that give some food to eat. I am hungry. Then green plants manufacture their own food in their leaves by the process of photosynthesis. Therefore, they are called autotrophs. Means green plants are there. They produce their food by their own. We don't produce our food by our own. but green plants, we are talking about the plants, that green plants produce their food by their own, by the photosynthesis process. So they are known as the autotrophs. Okay students, they are known as the autotrophs. So what just they do? They inhale the carbon dioxide from the air, sunlight from the sun, and what they will produce? They will produce sugar plus oxygen. They will release oxygen by byproduct of that plants. Okay. Animals cannot manufacture their own food. They depend on plants and other animals for the food. So therefore, they are called the heterotrophs. A cow is a heterotroph. See here, an example is given. So what happened? Plants produce food by their own, by taking water from the soil, carbon dioxide from the air, and sunlight from the sun. They produce sugar plus and release the oxygen. In that way, animals and we humans do not produce their food by their own. We are just dependent on other plants and other animals. Okay. Then another one is living things have a definite lifespan. Means living things, if we talk about living things, we have some definite time span. So at the age of 15 you are just a child. 10 to 15 years you are just a child, and after 15 to 21 22 you become a boy. Then after you become a man, and then after the age of you cross 50 or 55, then you will become old. So this is the time span of the human being. In that way there are also time span of the animals. Okay. See, a living thing go through the stage of birth, growth, development, reproduction, aging, and death during their life cycles. Each organism have a definite lifespan, the period between birth and the death. See here, first this is newborn baby, then comes child, then comes boy, then comes man, and then comes old age pupil. Okay students. So moving towards next, non-living things do not have a definite lifespan. So I think it is good that non-living things do not have a specific lifespan. Then what will happen? If the board has some specific lifespan that it will only work for 1 year, then we should just take a new board every new year. Then it will be more costly. Okay students. So non-living things do not have a definite lifespan. They can continue to exist until they are destroyed by an external force. Okay. Here the Newton's first law just works. In the non-living thing, if you just don't do anything to that thing, then nothing will happen to it. Okay students. Nothing will happen. If you use it properly and you just take some of the safety of this, then it will work for long time, 10 years, 15 years. But if you just don't use it perfectly and you are just not taking care of it, then it will not work for 1 year also. Okay students. Here the table 7.1 lists the difference between living and non-living things. So living things have a cellular organisms. Non-living things do not have a cellular organisms. So living things have some of these cells. Living things, there are two types of living things, unicellular and multicellular. Unicellular are amoeba and paramecium. So these are the unicellular, and multicellular means all the other things. So in unicellular means the organism which contains one cell is known as unicellular, and more than one are known as multicellular. Okay students. they excrete and get rid of waste. Means the products which are in the form of waste in our body, we just take it out, and this non-living thing do not have waste, so say they do not excrete. Then comes they reproduce. Non-living thing, they do not reproduce. So living things reproduce. Okay, living things reproduce, that we have seen, but non-living things do not reproduce. They need food and air to stay alive. Means we need food and air to stay alive. They don't need food and they don't need air to stay alive. Then the next point is living things go to various stages between birth to death. Means living things from a born baby to a old age man, there is a lifespan of it, but the body will remain same as it is. Okay, when you just are born, you are small, and then after your age will increase and you will grow up. So as well, it happens that when we take this board, then it is small. As the years go on, the board will become big and big. No, it doesn't happen. So living things will go through various stages between birth and death. Non-living things do not grow or die. Then comes ecosystem. Now we will talk about the ecosystem. Let us write some of the points over here. Ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? Before that, see here, a definition of environment is given over here. Everything that surrounds living thing is called their environment. Is called their environment, and that now they have given the definition of ecosystem. What is ecosystem? So for that, for ecosystem, an ecosystem is a complex system that consists of all the living things in an area and their interaction with one another as well as with their physical physical environment, physical environment. So this is called the ecosystem. Okay students, an ecosystem is a complex system that consists of all the living things in an area and their interaction with one another as well as with the physical environment. So this is called the ecosystem. So let us see first of the what is the ecosystem on the earth. Many different kinds of plants and animals live on the earth. They meet their food, water and shelter requirement from the surrounding in which they live. Means they get their food, air and the surrounding from their surrounding only, not from anything else. So everything that surrounds living thing is called the environment. Means everything that surrounds us is environment. Okay students, so an ecosystem is a complex system that consists of all living things in an area and their interaction with one another as well as with their physical environment is called the ecosystem. Then after moving towards forward, an ecosystem consists of both living things such as living things and as well as non-living things. So living things are known as biotic and non-living things are known as abiotic. So all living things such as plants, animals and microorganisms are the biotic components of the ecosystem. All non-living things such as air, light, soil and temperature are abiotic components of the ecosystem. You can see here a figure is given a forest ecosystem. Biotic components plants, animals, birds, insects, fungi and microbes. So abiotic components soil, air, light, humidity and temperature, which we can just feel, are known as abiotic and which we can just touch, okay, and see that they are known as biotic components. Okay students, but some of the microbes and fungi we don't touch it. Okay, so moving further, interaction between different biotic components. Biotic components such as plants and animals interact each other to survive in their environment. Plants provide shelter and food to animals. Trees provide home to animals such as monkeys, chimpanzees, green trees, python, spotted owl and tree frogs who spend most of their time on tree branch. So these are some of the animals which just stay on the tree only. So their home is tree only. Big holes in the tree trunks provide a safe space for birds such as owls to make their nest. Then big tree provides fruits to animals such as fruit bats and monkeys. Many flowering plants provide nectar to the butterflies, sunbirds and hummingbirds. Animals help plants multiply. Then several insects such as honeybee, moths and wasps helps to pollinate the flower by carrying pollen from the another to the stigma, means male part of the flower to the female part of the flower. Animals such as elephant, civets, bats and some birds helps the plant to germinate by eating the fruit and passing through the softened seed in dropping, so they can easily grow into new plants. Animals helps means some of the animals that eat the fruit and throw away the seed, so the seed just fall there and grow a plant. Then comes animals such as sheep carry seeds of some plants on their food and transport them to the new place where they can germinate. Means in the sheep's food, means the from the silk wood we just from the sheep we take out the wool. In that some of the seeds are just there, and when they will walk at the long distance, then after some of the natural thing rain or anything else, these seeds will grow down and it will start growing. Then recycling of nutrition between biotic components. See here, different biotic components in the ecosystem also interact to transfer the nutrition among them. Plant use the sun energy with the help of a green pigment called chlorophyll to produce their own food. Thus, they are called autotrophs. And animals depend on the plant as well as other animals for food. Animals are therefore called heterotrophs. So, what is autotrophs? Autotrophs means they produce their food their own, and heterotrophs they depend on the other plants and other animals. They are known as heterotrophs. So, moving further, producers. Plants are called the producers because they produce their own food. So, plants are the producers, means they produce their own food, and some of the animals just eat the plants of plant product or plants to their food. So, the producers, how they produce the food? They produce the food by the photosynthesis process. See here, the process by which green plants make their own food with the help of chlorophyll in the presence of sunlight using carbon dioxide and water is called the photosynthesis process. Okay, by the process of photosynthesis, they produce their food by their own. Okay, students, moving further, primary consumers. So, primary consumers means the animals which are dependent on the plants, which only eat the plants, are the primary consumers. So, reading that herbivorous feeds only plant, thus they are called the primary consumers. So, the animals which are only depend on the plants are known as the primary consumers. Then comes secondary consumers. So, in secondary consumers, the animals which were depend on the other plants, the secondary consumers just depend on that animals. Okay, students, see here I am reading it. Carnivorous animals feed on herbivorous animals. Means secondary consumers eat the primary consumers. Okay, and primary eat the producers. So, they are thus called the secondary consumers. Consumers that feed on other consumers are called tertiary consumers. Omnivorous feed both plant as well as the herbivorous, is therefore they are secondary consumers too. Means the omnivorous animals they eat both plants and animals both, so they are also known as the secondary consumers. And then comes scavengers. So, scavengers, what they eat after the remaining part, what the secondary consumer have eaten, and the remaining part is consumed by the scavengers. Okay, students, then comes decomposers. So, what does the decomposers eat? The remaining, they decompose the after eating of secondary consumer, then after scavengers. At last, what remains, the decomposers decomposes that to the soil. Okay, students, here I am reading that. Here, scavengers feed on a dead organisms and break them down into smaller parts, and decomposers feed on the remain of the dead organisms, release the nutrition of the dead organisms into the soil. Okay, nutrition thus released into the soil are again absorbed by the roots of the plants. See here, they have given a cycle over here, recycling of nutrition. First of all, see here a rabbit. Rabbit is given. What does the rabbit eat? Rabbit eat what? It eat the plants, means it is primary consumer. So then after secondary consumer is given, that is fox. Fox will eat rabbit, and then after the fox is eaten by something else like tiger or lion, then after eat they eat fox, and then after when they are dead, lions and tiger, so it is just eaten by first of all the scavengers, and then after the decomposers. Okay, and see a snake, secondary or tertiary consumers. They primary and secondary consumer birds, they eat that, and owl, secondary consumer, eat The rat, primary or secondary consumer, means rat is omnivorous animals. It is given in the figure. And then comes the let's answer that you have to do in your homework, students. But now we will see interaction between abiotic and biotic components of the ecosystem. Let us see that, students. But before that, let me check. So here, let us see interaction between abiotic and biotic components of the ecosystem. Light. Sun is the main source of the energy on Earth. Plants depend on the sunlight for photosynthesis as well as the germination. Flowering in the plants is also affected by the availability of the light. Light impacts chemically that are responsible for the growth in plants. A change in the duration of the day causes migration in the birds. See here, light. The sun is the main source of the light. The plants are dependent on them. Without the sunlight, they can't produce their food by their own. See here, there is an activity given over here to observe and compare germination in the presence and absence of light. Two dishes label A and B, cotton, water, and green moss. Method. Place moist cotton in two dishes. Keep an equal amount of monk seed in each dish. Keep a dish in the dark place and B in the sunny window still. Find out how many seeds germinate in the both dishes after few days. So observation. Did all the seeds germinate in a dish A? Did all the seeds germination B? In which of these two dishes did more seeds germinate? Conclusion. More seeds of the germinate in the dish kept in the sunlight. Light is important for the plants to grow. So it will more seeds will germinate in the light, in the where we have put there is sun. So it will germinate more. So due to this activity I remind something. So here you have got the syllabus over here, students. Yes or not? You have got this. Yes, you have got this syllabus. In that it is written here in the science paper style. Any two experiments will be asked. So you will tell that many of the experiments are there. So from that only two will be asked. Then many experiments are there. So what to be done? So I will in the next video I will just give 3 or 4 experiments. From that only two will be asked. Okay students, only two will be asked. So in the next video what I will just do is, I think it is on tomorrow only. So tomorrow in that video I will give you 3 or 4 experiments, and from that only two will be asked. Okay students, so it will be that. Now moving further, so temperature is measured of how hot or cold something is. Places near the equator are much hotter than other places on the earth, and on other hand, mountain peaks and polar regions are very cold. Temperature determines the kind of plants and animals that can be survived in this place on earth. The change in temperature includes shading of leaves in some plants and activities such as hibernation in some plants. Means if we just move around the equator, then it is very hot, and if we just go to the polar region or high at the mountain, then it will be cold. So according to that, the plants and animals are there. So there are two types of cold-blooded animals and warm-blooded animals. See, animals who maintain a relative constant internal body temperature even when the outside temperature changes are called warm-blooded animals. Examples are mammals and birds. Then comes the cold-blooded animals. What are cold-blooded animals? Animals whose body temperature fluctuates to match the outside temperature are called cold-blooded animals. They become hotter during the day, and when the outside temperature rise and become colder during the night when the outside temperature drops. Examples are reptiles and fish. Means these cold blooded animals, if in the daytime they increase the temperature and in the night time they will decrease the temperature, means it will remain in the surrounding of their temperature. Okay students, see here. Moving towards next, warm-blooded animals can stay active in very cold temperature, whereas cold-blooded animals becomes very sluggish in the low temperatures. Reptiles such as lizards are seen basking in the morning sun for a long time to warm their body so they get energy to move around. See a lizard basking in the sun, a picture is given over here. And then comes to the air. See, living beings need to air to survive. Air contains several gases such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Illustration: how biotic factors such as plants and animals depend on the air, which is an abiotic factor. Plants takes in carbon dioxide from the air and release oxygen as a result of photosynthesis. Animals and plants breathe in oxygen rich air and release carbon dioxide rich air as a result of respiration. Additionally, humans also release carbon dioxide in the environment by burning fuels. What do you think would happen to the level of oxygen in the air if were fewer plants on earth? Moving air or wind also helps to pollinate flowers and disperse seeds. With wind also helps to disperse air pollution. So here they are just talking about the air. We know that plants take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen to make their food, and we humans and animals, what we do? We take in oxygen and release the carbon dioxide. Okay students, so these things are there. See here, it is given a picture. Biotic factors such as plants and animals depend on air, which is an abiotic factor. See, then comes water. So how the water is used, but that we will see in the next video. Okay students, so in your homework what you have to do? In your homework, you have to do is, let's answer given on the page number 76. So this is your homework. Okay students, and in next video I will tell 3 or 4 experiments. From that only 2 will be asked. Okay students, and this is your homework, and further the remaining part we will see tomorrow. Tomorrow is our lecture. Yes, tomorrow is our lecture. We will meet tomorrow. Okay, bye students.